Hi, my name is Samuel, and I'm going to be talking to you about Abraham's greatest test of faith. Many people that think that Abraham kept sheep, but the Bible says in Genesis chapter 13, verse 2, that he was rich in cattle. Abraham is known as the father of faith, but even Abraham had issues trusting God. One time, instead of waiting for the son that God promised, Sarah and Abraham made a plan to get a son through Hagar, Sarah's servant. Now, I want to talk to you about Abraham's greatest test of faith, which he passed. Genesis chapter 22.
Now it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took two of his young men with him and Isaac his sons. And he split the wood for the burnt offering and arose and went to the place which God had told him. Then on the third day Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey.
The lad and I will go yonder and worship, and he will come back to you. So Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac, his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and the two of them went together. But Isaac spoke to Abraham, his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. Then he said, Look at the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, God will provide for himself the lamb for the burnt offering. So the two of them went together. Then they came to the place of which God had told him. And Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood in order, and he bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. So he said, Here I am. And he said, Do not lay your hand on the lad, or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Then Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and there was a ram caught in a thicket by its horn. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called the name of the place, The Lord Will Provide, as it said to this day, In the mountain of the Lord it shall be provided. And then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham second time out of heaven, and said, By myself I have sworn, say the Lord, because you have done this thing, and have not withheld your son, your only son. Blessing I will bless you, and multiply I will multiply your descendants as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which on the seashore, and your descendants shall possess the gate of their enemies. In your seed, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. Isaac is a picture of what Christ did for us, where God sacrificed his only son. Isaac was not Abraham's only son, but he was the son of promise. The mountain that Abraham was sacrificing on was the same mountain that Jerusalem was built on, Mount Moriah, or better known as Mount Calvary, the location Jesus was sacrificed. Both Isaac and Jesus carried the wood for their own death up the mountain. Bible scholars believe that Isaac was probably a teenager or a young man. His father Abraham was well over 100 years old. In order for him to tie up Isaac, Isaac had to let him. In John 10:18, Jesus said, "No man taketh it my life, but I lay it down of my own accord." Just like Isaac let his father tie him up and put him on that altar, Jesus let himself be sacrificed for your sin and my sin. Did the other guy turn to a skeleton?
The guy who's walking. I'll pick up the guy.